Speaking of a firing, Graham Harrell, your services will no longer be needed. We've got a September 29th relieved of their duties. Purdue deciding to go in another direction. The question that is like typically on these cards of ways that you discuss this. Question number one, I'm throwing out the daggum window. Are you surprised? No, we're not. We're 100% not surprised. I'm a little bit more interested in the big picture, Tom, because you've got some familiarity with Ryan Walters, but also just sort of the where Purdue goes from here. I mean, they lost their best wide receiver. We've discussed that a lot. They tried to make it work with Hudson Card and this, kind of air raid offense. And buddy, the quarterback play, the offense, I mean, it's all been really bad. What's the path forward here? And how does Ryan Walters salvage this thing the rest of the season?
I don't know, honestly. Like, you look at this offense so far this year, they scored 49 points in their opener against Indiana State. They've scored 38 points in 3 games since. They had the 7 against Notre Dame. They had 10 against Nebraska last week, and then they managed 21 against Oregon State. So, like, personnel-wise, obviously we've talked about it. You just mentioned it. Losing Deion Burks is a huge blow to that offense. There was no ready-made replacement for him, and it's really impacted what they've been able to do. And just offensive line-wise, they don't look very good. Like, I think when it happened, like, you can go back, find the clip somewhere. When they hired Graham Harrell, that was one of my I didn't really love the hire at the time. I'll put it that way. Like, I liked what Walters had brought in with him on the defensive side of the ball and from Illinois, but I thought it was maybe a reach out to Purdue wanting the fans not really loving the hire, wanting that kind of air raid kind of roots that have made Purdue successful over the years. So he kind of reached out to somebody from that tree. But if you look at Graham Harrell's history, I mean, I don't know, the guy just got fired. I hate to dogpile on him, but like, it's not like he'd been very well loved at any of his previous stops. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm not shocked this didn't work, but I don't entirely blame him either. So I think this is just one of those moves where the natives are kind of starting to get restless, and you've got to give them something. You've got to throw them something, to let them like tear apart and feel good about. But the timing wise, you've got the bye this week. Then they're on the road against Wisconsin this week. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's just, I don't know how you fire your offensive coordinator during the middle of the season and then expect the offense to improve. Maybe it will. Odds are it won't.
You didn't keep Deion Burks. Jamal Drain's been out. You don't have any weapons to scare anybody. I don't really know what you expect here. That's a really, really hard job, man. I mean, Jeff Brom is one of the A1 best coaches in the sport. And when he would make a bowl, it was like a big deal. Like, that's a really, really hard job. I think the situation Signetti inherited in Indiana was way better than what Brom left over for Walters. And think about who's won there. Joe Tiller, and they ran like a brand new offense that the conference had never seen, and happened to have a Hall of Fame NFL player named Drew Brees at their peak, right? And then Jeff Brom, who like we said, I don't know how you can win there personally. I don't think that's a winnable job.
No, the Brom peak was best since Tiller.
Mm-hmm.
Like 17 wins in 2 years, this many bowls in this many years, like all of the different ways.
And in the West.
Yeah, all the different ways that you were grouping Purdue's success when you were promoting Jeff Brom, and all the articles were being written after his hire at Louisville of, how awesome he was. Like, all of the qualifiers had him as Purdue's best coach since Joe Tiller.
Well, I also think too, it's like circumstance. It's not just the division. It's that when they were successful under Tiller, it was Breeze, it was Orton, it was Curtis Payne, it was a whole bunch of guys that they had. It was the offense. It was something different than what you saw in the Big Ten. And it was kind of like their version of the triple option, in that teams didn't normally see it and weren't entirely sure how to prepare for it. But as the Big Ten has expanded, and as this football across the country has changed, what Purdue's doing isn't really any different than anybody else for the most part. You see it every other week most of the time. So the advantage that they had in that system is gone. So now it kind of becomes, who do you have on the roster? And as Bud said, there's nobody on that offense that scares you. It's just
like the chat's like you have to know what scoring points is. Look, they've been banged up. A team like Purdue, if you get banged up, they're just cooked. They're not going to have good depth. I don't think they have NIL, right? I mean,
They
Well,
do,
they
but
lost
it's
Corey
not up
too.
to
They hyped
par.
up that,
balling
they hyped
out.
up that safety who was like, none of us really thought was anything special. You know, you lose like maybe the best receiver in the SEC, and you also lose like the SEC's best pass rusher in one offseason off Purdue.
Big Ten.
Right? No, like they both transferred to the
Now,
SEC.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they lost the. Okay, never mind.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
I think
Gotcha,
that
gotcha.
speaks to the, you know,
this to me, I mean, this feels like one of those moves which I've seen made before that, you know, you're trying to wake everybody up and maybe you're trying to appease some of your critics as well. If you're like, this is unacceptable. Something drastic has to be done. Try to light a fire under your team as well. Even with Joe Tiller and a Hall of Fame quarterback, the most regular season wins they had was 8. I think it goes to the expectations of what this program is. Like, I think you would like to be more competitive than what we've seen this year, but going bowling should be the goal, you know? And if you get to 8, that's a huge success. Bud's got mute.
Oh, got the mute. Like in a non-conference league, I don't think that's reason, like to expect bowls at Purdue.
Right. I mean, I think that should be the goal. You don't think that should be the goal on a yearly basis?
Like if I'm taking that job, I want an extension if I make a bowl one every 3 years.
right, like Kentucky was with Stoops. Like you get the
I
I think
automatic.
it's a lot harder than that, but yeah.
I'd also say one thing you need to do, and I don't know how easy it is to get out of it at this stage, but I've talked about this before. You need to talk to your athletic director about the way you are scheduling non-conference. Because if you are Purdue and you want to get to a bowl, like Oregon State is not quote unquote a Power 5 program anymore, but they were when you scheduled that game. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. You can't be playing those kind of teams in your non-conference schedule if you're trying to get to a bowl game every year. It's just
Purdue
a
should have
run what they're
Indiana.
running.
phase.
Like they're running like schemes that you would run if you had good athletes. There's a reason that Minnesota and Northwestern and these teams that can't get athletes play the way they do. Slow as hell. Don't allow explosives. Hope to get the positive variance on your side of turnovers. I mean, like that's why they play that way. Purdue plays a defensive scheme like they have good corners. They had like 9 personal, like not personal fouls. They had 9 pass interference penalties on Saturday.
Don't
Every
they lead
play,
the nation in man to man?
they can't cover.
Yeah.
They don't have athletes who can play that. Like you took one kid who couldn't see the field at Georgia, and guess what? He's actually not very good. And I mean, he had like 4 or 5 PIs on Saturday. I don't really get what they're doing, personally. And like, I just, yeah.
Red meat, light a fire, not looking good. Ryan Walters.
Do they win another game?
I've got them as the worst team in the Big Ten.
They're the worst team in the Power 5 by a lot.
Northwestern.
Like
is
Houston
only
would beat
fan.
them. Like Houston might shut them out. Northwestern is bad, but like Northwestern at least knows what it is.
Yeah.
Ryan in the chat, I don't want the damn tradition ended. I'm just saying you could still play Notre Dame, but you can't play Oregon State with them. You need to play Notre Dame and 2 patsies that you can beat.
You want Indiana's non-conference schedule. You know what you want to be when you're at one of these jobs? You want to be screaming for top 25 inclusion on September 30th and having everybody say, but you haven't played anybody. You want to have 4 wins in the bag and then be like, all right, can we go and win 1 or 2 coin flips to be able to make this a bowl season in conference play? Like that's what you would like to have, I think, in one of these jobs. An Ole Miss non-con, great call. Like that would be ideal if you are in one of these positions.
Ryan just wants to keep Purdue on Notre Dame's schedule so they don't have to lose to any more MAC teams.
Yeah, so they want to inflate. Yeah, they want to inflate Notre Dame's win total. I see how the Fighting Irish are doing.